Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
What if I told you that the most exhausting people in your life, the ones who take and never give back, didn't find you by accident? What if the real reason you keep attracting them has nothing to do with bad luck and everything to do with something quietly running inside you? Something that was put there a long time ago, before you even knew it was there. You have lived long enough to know this pattern. You meet someone. They seem interesting, maybe even a little wounded. You feel drawn to them. You open your heart. You give your time, your energy, your kindness. And slowly, almost without noticing, you realize that you are always the one giving, and they are always the one taking. You start to feel tired, not just physically tired, soul tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. And the cruelest part, you probably blamed yourself. You told yourself, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I expect too much. Maybe I should try harder. But here is what the research on psychology actually says. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. You didn't attract these people because something is wrong with you. You attracted them because something is beautifully, painfully right about you. And no one ever taught you how to protect it. I want you to stop for a moment. Think about how many years you have spent taking care of others. Think about the number of times you put your own needs last. Not because you were weak, but because you loved deeply. Think about how many people in your life have leaned on you, cried on you, vented to you, needed you. And think about how many of those same people were never quite there when you needed them. If you are watching this, you are probably somewhere between 55 and 75. And I want to say something directly to you. You have earned the right to be understood. Your generation was raised with a particular kind of strength, a quiet, enduring strength. You were taught to be dependable, to show up, to not complain, to keep going no matter what. Those are beautiful qualities. But they also made you a target for people who are very skilled at spotting someone who will never leave, never say no, and never ask for too much in return. This is not about blame. It is about understanding. And once you understand the psychological reason why this keeps happening, you will never look at your relationships the same way again. Here is where we need to go back, all the way back to your childhood. Many women in your generation grew up in homes where love was not freely given. It was earned. Maybe you learned that you were most valued when you were useful, when you were helpful, when you kept the peace or held the family together. Maybe there was a parent who was emotionally absent or unpredictable or overwhelmed with their own pain. And so, as a little girl, you learned to scan the room. You learned to read moods. You learned to give before you were asked, because giving felt safer than asking. Psychologists call this the caretaker wound. It is when a child learns that their worth is tied to how much they do for others. Now think about emotional vampires. People who drain your energy, demand constant attention, make everything about themselves. Who do they look for? They look for someone who already knows how to give without being asked. They look for someone who was trained from childhood to make other people comfortable at the expense of their own comfort. It is not a coincidence. It is a pattern. And it starts with learning that your love always has to come with a price. Here is a small story. Margaret was 62 when she came to therapy after ending a 15-year friendship with a woman who had leaned on her through 3 divorces, 2 house moves, and a business failure. Margaret had given thousands of hours. When Margaret's own husband died, this friend disappeared for 6 months. I kept thinking I must have done something wrong, Margaret said. Her therapist asked her one question: when did you first learn that other people's pain was more important than your own? Margaret went very quiet. And then she said, I was 7 years old. Empathy is one of the most extraordinary human qualities. The ability to feel what another person feels, to truly, genuinely care, is rare and beautiful. And you have it in abundance. But here is what nobody tells the deeply empathetic woman. Empathy without boundaries does not protect you. It leaves you wide open. Think of it this way. Imagine your heart is a house. A generous, warm, beautifully lit house. You keep the door open because you want people to come in out of the cold. But what happens when someone comes in, sits down, eats all your food, turns off your heat, and then complains about the temperature? That is what it feels like to be an empathetic person with no emotional boundaries. Emotional vampires are not always evil people. Some of them are just very, very wounded people who have never learned to fill themselves up from the inside. They have a deep emptiness, and they instinctively move toward people who overflow with warmth, hoping to borrow some. The problem is that they never get full, and you never stop giving until there is nothing left. Research in psychology, particularly the work of Brene, shows that empathy, when it is not paired with boundaries, actually makes us more available to be emotionally exploited. It is not that you care too much. It is that you were never taught that caring for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. This one might sting a little, but stay with me. Emotional vampires rarely show up in your life looking like emotional vampires. They show up looking like potential. A friend who seems like she just needs a little support. A partner who has so much to offer, if only he would heal. A colleague who is brilliant but chaotic, and just needs someone steady beside her. And you see that potential. You feel it. And something inside you says, I can help this person become who they are supposed to be. This is what psychologists call being hooked on the intermittent reward. Sometimes, the person gives you a glimpse of who they could be. They are kind or appreciative or vulnerable in a way that moves you deeply. And that tiny glimpse is enough to keep you going through months or years of taking. It is the same psychological mechanism behind slot machines. The occasional win is what keeps you pulling the lever. Not the consistent win. The occasional one. You are not foolish to see their potential. You are simply seeing through the lens of a woman who deeply believes in people. But here is the truth. You cannot want someone's healing more than they want it for themselves. And you cannot pour your life into a vessel that has no intention of holding what you give. There is a very specific fear that keeps many warm-hearted women trapped in relationships that hurt them. It is not a fear of the other person. It is a fear of what will happen if they leave. What if no one else comes? What if I am too old to find new friends? What if I am too difficult? What if they actually needed me and I walked away from someone who was hurting? That fear, the fear of abandonment, of being alone, of being the one who gave up, keeps the door open long after it should have been gently, lovingly closed. And emotional vampires are extraordinarily skilled at sensing this fear. Even if they are not consciously aware of it. They know how to use your worry against you. They create small crises when you try to pull back. They remind you of everything they have been through. They make you feel that you would be cruel to walk away. Here is what I want to offer you. Not as judgment, but as medicine. Being alone is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Being surrounded by people who drain you until you no longer recognize yourself. That is the thing worth being afraid of. Solitude, when chosen, is not loneliness. It is peace. And peace is something you deserve. This is the deepest lesson. And it is the one that changes everything when you really understand it. If you grew up in a home where love was unpredictable, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes joyful, and sometimes frightening, your nervous system learned something important. It learned that this feeling right here, this mix of anxiety and hope and longing, this is what love feels like. So as an adult, when a relationship feels calm and consistent and safe, it can actually feel, at a very deep unconscious level, a little boring, a little unreal. And when a relationship feels intense and unpredictable and emotionally charged, it feels familiar. It feels like home, even when home was not a safe place. This is not a character flaw. This is neuroscience. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Seek out what feels familiar, because familiar feels survivable. The problem is that familiar was sometimes painful. The work of healing is not about finding a better emotional vampire. It is about slowly, gently teaching your nervous system that calm is not boring. Calm is safe, and safe is something you are allowed to have. I want to speak to you now, woman to woman, with complete honesty. You have spent enough of your one precious life giving your energy to people who did not know how to receive it. You have offered your warmth to those who used it for warmth and then walked away. You have stayed longer than you should have, not because you were weak, but because you believed in people with your whole heart. That belief in people, that is not the problem. That is one of the most beautiful things about you. The world needs people who believe in human potential, who see the good before the bad, who stay when others leave. But here is what I want you to carry with you from this video. Your gift of care was never meant to be given without limit. Even the most generous river eventually runs dry without rain. You need to be replenished too. And you are at a point in your life, right now, in this season, where you are allowed to ask, who fills me up? Whose presence leaves me lighter, not heavier? Who, after I leave them, makes me feel more like myself? Those are the people you deserve to spend your days with. The emotional vampires in your life, whether they are still present or finally in the past, did not find you because you were broken. They found you because you were whole, because you had something real to offer. But wholeness without protection is an open invitation. So starting today, not someday, today, you begin to build the walls that love lives behind. Not walls that keep people out, walls that keep you in. Walls that say, I am valuable enough to be protected. My energy matters. My peace is not negotiable. You have survived things that would have broken many people. You have loved generously, you have given quietly. Now it is time to receive, starting with the one gift that no one else can give you. The decision to finally, fully choose yourself. You are not too old for this. You are exactly the right age. Because wisdom is not wasted, and everything you have been through has been preparing you for this moment. This is your time, not to become someone new, but to finally become fully, unapologetically, peacefully yourself. Before I close, I want to hear from you, because you matter to this conversation, not just as a viewer, but as a woman with a story worth sharing. If something I said today touched something true inside you, if you recognized yourself in any part of this, I want you to do one thing right now. Scroll down to the comments and type these 4 words, I am reclaiming my peace. That is it, those 4 words. Because saying it, even in a comment, even to strangers, is the beginning of actually believing it. And every woman who reads your comment will feel a little less alone. And if this video helped you, please share it with one woman in your life who needs to hear it. She may not know it yet, but you do. And that instinct, that desire to pass something meaningful along, that is not you being an emotional caretaker. That is you being a woman of genuine wisdom. I will see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself. You deserve it. Not because of what you do for others, but simply because of who you are.